Hello and welcome to another entry of the Diary of an Early Years Educator. Thank you so much for the love on the episodes that came out last week. We gave you the introduction and the first entry as well. 2 in 1 week, you lucky things. But this week, we're going to start off as we plan with our reflections. So what went well, what can we do better, and what are we leaving behind? Now, I'm going to be completely honest. Last week, I did not have a lot of what went wells. I have been sick as a dog. Like, I have not been that ill for a long time, and it has completely knocked me for 6. So what are we leaving behind is the sickness bug. That is going. I don't want anything to do with that for a good year. Thank you. I'm done. Tapping out. That is me done. Oh my goodness. And I definitely picked it up from one of our settings. We had a sickness bug going around. It is what it is. These things happen. But oh my Lord. It was one of the most horrific weeks I've had in a long time. And I feel like I got absolutely nothing done because I have been sick as a dog. And yeah, so this week I don't really have a what went well and a what has going to be sort of improving on for next week. But my what did not go well and we are leaving behind is the sickness. We are starting a fresh week and I am ready to get loads done and be productive. And I don't actually know if this sickness bug was a way of my body to be like, you need to slow down. Like, you need to chill, because the week before I was extremely stressed. I just wish my body had done it in a different way because, geez, it was horrific. Poor Ben. He's had to live with me as sick as a dog this week. So unfortunately, my reflection this week is quite negative because I don't really have anything positive going on from last week that I want to keep going. I want to get rid of it all and start again for the new week, which is quite a nice position to be in, really. I quite like a fresh start of the week, like, let's do this, let's go. So that's where we're at this week. My let's start the new week as a fresh is happening. But I asked a question last week of why do you love working in early years? I had quite a few responses. The overall thing of why we love to work in early years is it is so rewarding. Like, it's such a rewarding job. When you see children blossom, when the children's faces light up, when children are having fun, seeing children learn new things. So the overriding sort of opinion on why you love working in early years is that it's just so rewarding. It is so rewarding. And it is one of those jobs that is so tough and so hard. And I did talk about that on Instagram actually this week. Last week for you guys now listening. But yeah, it is so tough and it is so hard. And we wear so many hats and we're so many different people throughout the day. And we're thinking about so many different things. But it is one of the most rewarding jobs ever because you get to watch young children learn. You get to watch young children develop and blossom and just play and have fun and be happy and be safe. And yeah, there's not a lot that beats it. So I think that was a really lovely question to start with. If there's anything else that you love about working in early years, put it in the comments under the podcast or on our socials. Let us know. I like to spread positivity. So let's talk about all the reasons why we love early years. I want to kind of know what people want to hear on this podcast. There's been so much love for it and I really, really appreciate it. People came back to listen to the second diary entry, which was so lovely. So I appreciate it. And I hope that you feel like you got to know me a little bit more from the first entry, the introduction, because obviously me and Ben are on the network and you're probably thinking, what on earth, like, why is she so passionate about early years? Where has this all come from? And it's because it's all I've done. It's because it's all I've known. And I genuinely don't know if I would know how to do anything else in this world. So that is the reason. And I hope you feel like you got to know me a little bit more. And then we talked about organisation and I ranted on for 15, 20 minutes about labels. So apologies on that. I did say I was going to talk about something a little bit more lighthearted, but I kind of not. So sorry about that. But this week I want to talk about mealtimes. I don't know about anybody else. This is kind of a tangent, actually. Sorry. Everyone has a preferred age group. Whether you want to admit it to yourself or you don't, everyone has a preferred age group. Now, for me, it has always been preschoolers or twos. I feel like those are my age groups where I thrive. I've talked about it before. They're my age groups. I love being in our baby rooms. I love being in our baby rooms, but I could not and have not worked full time in a baby room. The stress I feel in a baby room is I can't compare it to anything else. I can't compare that feeling of complete fear all the time. And I'm hoping that if I ever have children, that fear of babies will go away. I hope. Not fear of babies. That's a really weird way of putting it, Emily. Like the fear of, so mealtimes, when I think about mealtimes and babies, sends anxiety through my entire body. And I don't know why it makes me so nervous. Like a baby coughs when they're eating and I instantly think they're choking. And I instantly am like, oh my God, what we do, like what's going on? And I get really stressed around mealtimes in a baby room. I probably should get stressed in all rooms at a mealtime because mealtimes are quite a dangerous time, really, if you think about it, like the hazards, allergies, which we'll get into. But in a preschool and a twos room, I just feel a little bit more confident. Like they're bigger, they know what they're doing with food. Like it's all just, everybody knows what's going on. Whereas with babies, all I do is panic. And it's probably, I'm a nightmare to work with for mealtimes because I watch those children like a hawk and I talk of independence all the time. And that is the one time, and I know this on my own reflection, I know that this is my downfall, is that in a baby room, mealtime independence is something I struggle the hell with. If you work in a baby room full time, I bet it's like, you know the children, you know their capabilities, you know what they're doing. But for me, when I'm covering in baby rooms and things like that, it sends anxiety, like I said, through my entire body and I just panic. So mealtimes, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. How does everyone feel about mealtimes? Do you use it as a time to get everything done or do you use it as a learning opportunity? Because when you think about mealtimes, it's actually one of the most hazardous times of the day. Like you've got utensils that some kids love to use as like poking devices. You've got food, which is choking, of course, drinks, choking, also spillages on the floor, slips and falls, everything that comes with a mealtime and hazards and things. How do you use them? But then we also use it as a time to get everything else done because the children are all sat down and in one place and you can actually keep an eye on them. It's really difficult because we have to find those pockets of time to get things done. Like we have to make use of sleep times, we have to make use of meal times, but also, do we take them seriously enough? Because for me, there's two sides of meal times. You've got that risk factor and you've got the learning side of it. So from the learning point of view, you've got things like social skills. I hate when people say like, be quiet, you're at the table. No, chat. If you went out for dinner with your friends, if I went out for dinner with all my friends and they were like, can you be quiet please, I'm trying to eat. I'd be like, what? Like we're using this as a social time. Like when you catch up with friends, you go out for dinner. So let's chat, like encourage the children to talk. Like we're obviously doing table manners, etc., but let them have a chat. Ask some questions about their day, what they're eating. Like those social skills are there and fabulous to be using. Independence, we've already touched on. Pouring, cutting food, self-serving their own meals, being able to clean up after themselves, feeding themselves. Loads of different independence comes from meal times themselves, which is really good. And I do have a class all on independence. If you are struggling with independence, take a look at that. Probably thinking I'm a massive hypocrite because I've just said that in baby rooms I struggle, but at least I know I struggle and I know what I can do. It just scares the life out of me. Communication, like I said, like chat to each other, listening skills, it all comes at meal times and they're so important because communication doesn't always happen when you've got a big group time going on or you're doing an activity or whatever that is specific. Meal times come with communication too. Nutrition, talking about what's on our plates, what we're eating, what we like and don't like, letting children share their likes and dislikes. We all like and dislike foods and I don't understand why we don't let children make that choice too. Yes, it can take a child up to 10 times to decide if they actually like something. I know that, like, we understand that, but put a plate of cheesy pasta in front of me or anything with cheese, apart from pizza, I will not eat it. Same with fish. I just won't eat it. And as an adult, we respect that. We wouldn't put something in front of me. Like, I wouldn't eat something and there would be no question of whether I should eat it or not as an adult. Whereas for a child, if they say they don't like it, they probably don't like it. Like, it is what it is. Of course, we want children to have a balanced diet. We want them to try new things and be exposed to different things. But I don't know, say you've got a meal and you've got maybe like a roast dinner, and the vegetables are peas and carrots that are on there. They've eaten all the carrots and they say they don't like peas. Fine, like maybe they just don't like peas. Like, maybe that's what it is. And sometimes I really struggle because you'll hear a conversation between two adults that will be like, oh yeah, can't stand that, couldn't eat that, oh no. And goes, oh yeah, like, oh. But then you get into the room with the children who are eating and we're trying to force them to try things and finish things. And I think that's where an unhealthy relationship with food comes, because that's a whole nother episode, isn't it? But I think me and Ben talked about food on Little Minds, Big Ideas, actually. But yeah, I think nutrition and things like that and communication is important. Trying something new and introducing new cultures can be done through mealtimes as well. You can introduce new cultures through the meals you're providing, through the utensils you're using, and things like that. It's a great way to do it. If you've got people who are from different cultures in and around your setting, invite them to share their culture with you. It's a great time. But mealtimes also bring stress, because not everybody wants to sit down. Not everybody likes the meal. Somebody doesn't want to pour their drink. Somebody poured their drink for them and it is just too much for them. It brings a level of stress that you can't really describe unless you've done a mealtime in a nursery. It can be extremely stressful. But the one part of mealtimes that scares the living daylights out of me, apart from babies eating, is allergies and intolerances and preferences. Now, preferences, it's fine. Like, we can do that. That person's a vegetarian. If they steal a bit of chicken off someone else's plate, we've not purposely given it to them, but it's not going to harm them. Fine. We sit them, we explain that everybody has their own food, but sometimes you can't help that children grab from different plates. Allergies and intolerances scare the living daylights out of me. And I don't know why we don't take them more seriously. Like, allergies can be life-threatening. And there's been the story in the news recently with the hot chocolate and the young girl. She was EpiPen allergic to dairy. And yeah, unfortunately she passed away, didn't she? But which is so sad, because she didn't have, that was something to do with her EpiPen, wasn't it? That they didn't have, wasn't able to have the right amount. I'm not sure the ins and outs of it, but her mum is saying that allergies weren't taken seriously. And oh my God, if I'm doing, even if I walk into a room, I will ask, what allergies have we got? What is it? Because I need to know, because it scares the life out of me, and I won't give a child a meal until I've checked with everybody. Everyone's settings, policies and procedures will be different, but I think allergies and intolerances should be taken so unbelievably seriously. And I don't have an allergy, thankfully. Like, I feel very lucky that I don't have an allergy, but I'm not naive to the fact that people can have life-threatening allergies. And even at a young age, there's children with EpiPens to things that could stop them from breathing. And that is as serious as it gets. And I don't know why people are quite blasé about it. It scares the living daylights out of me. Like, fair play to all of the cooks and the chefs in early years, because there's so many. And it's getting more. I don't know about anybody else. Like, the amount of allergies and intolerances is creeping up. The amount of people with dairy allergies and intolerances is creeping up as well. Like, 80% of my friendship group is lactose intolerant, but it doesn't stop them from eating cheese and drinking milk. They just get an upset stomach. And I don't know whether now doctors are saying, like, oh, you've got a dairy intolerance, take them off dairy. They're never going to build up a tolerance to it, I suppose. But then you don't want children to be upset. I remember once, I can't remember which part of my career I was in, fairly early on, I think. And somebody gave milk to a child with dairy intolerance. And it was like, oh, well, it's not like an allergy. And the mum said, but it still makes my child have an upset stomach. I still don't want them to have an upset stomach. Like, why would you give them it? It was an accident, I'm sure. But I do remember thinking, she's so right. Like, why would we want to give somebody something that's going to make them have an upset stomach? Because if it's anything like my week last week, I don't wish that on anyone, and I would not be eating anything on a weekly basis to put myself having a bad stomach. So it's just thinking about, like, how seriously do you take allergies? Because for me, they scare the hell out of me, and that's one of the pressures in early years, isn't it? Like, people trust you with their most prized possession, and if they have something like an allergy or medication that they have to take and things like that, it's absolutely crazy. Like, so much pressure on your shoulders. And yet mealtimes is one of the times where we don't take seriously throughout the day. We try and get things done and tidy up and do different things. And should we be taking them more seriously? Should we be prioritising our mealtimes rather than not? I don't know. It's interesting because when you've got children all sat down and they're eating and everything is fine, like, it's great. Like, if you've got a mealtime that runs smoothly, it's great. But when you've got 4 allergies, 2 preferences, medication at lunchtime, it can get really, really stressful and people have to be on the ball. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think I was in our baby rooms, one of our baby rooms, a lot, not last week before. And the time where I felt the most stress was mealtimes. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it. It was quite fresh in my mind. But yeah, I think it's really, I don't know why I wanted to talk about mealtimes. I think it's because it's a part of our day that's a given. It happens 2 to 3 times a day, depending on when the child comes in. So you've got breakfast, lunch and dinner. And breakfast is the one, isn't it, with dairy? How many different milks have you all got going on? Do you have people provide their own milk? Do you provide different milk? It can get really expensive for providers because you can have people with, so we've got dairy milk, we've got oat milk, soya milk, coconut milk. I've seen pea milk as well, which I did not know was a thing. Goat's milk, like all sorts. So tell me, like, do you provide your own milk? Do people have to bring it in? Like, how do you cater for allergies and things? I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with this, but I think from it's got to be, we have to take mealtimes seriously. Like, we have to, like, have them so that we are present, allowing independence, providing a learning opportunity, but so on the ball. And that is my takeaway and advice to take into practice, is to take that time of the day so seriously. Take them seriously. If somebody has an allergy or an intolerance or a preference, take it seriously. Don't be afraid to ask 4 or 5 times, this is exactly what this child is having. 100% they can have this, they can have that. It's not a bad thing to double check. And sometimes that's where I think people struggle, because we don't take it seriously enough, maybe. And that's why things go wrong. And that's why children end up, unfortunately, in hospital and unwell because of mealtimes, because we've not taken them seriously. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on mealtimes within your settings. What do you do? How seriously do you take them? And yeah, I will try and talk about something lighthearted next time. Not like labelling things where I just sound like I'm moaning, and today where I'm just like, take them seriously because allergies scare the living daylights out of me, as well as babies eating. I really hope that changes if I have my own child. Like, tiny babies scare me, and I'm not afraid to say it. I remember once talking on baby rooms, somebody asked me once to make a bottle using a prep machine. And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine as long as somebody tells me how to use the machine. I'd never worked in a baby room. I worked in preschools and after school clubs, and then I was in a twos room and a preschool room. Like, I'd never been with a prep machine. And they were like, oh, I was like, yeah, sorry, like somebody's going to have to show me how to use this machine because I've got no idea. And sometimes it's interesting because we expect everybody to just know exactly what and why. And it doesn't always happen like that because we have to learn things everybody has to learn. So yeah, mealtimes, I think take them seriously and don't be afraid to ask the questions. Like nobody should make you feel bad for checking allergies, intolerances, preferences, medication, whatever it is around a mealtime, and use them as learning opportunities. Use them for social skills, independence, communication, trying new things, introducing cultures, but try and manage your own stress. Try and make them as smooth as possible. And yeah, I think I've got some strategy videos coming on mealtimes on the network platform. So shameless plug here, everybody. Do apologise, but head across to www.theearlyearsnetwork.co.uk. Check out the platform. It's £4.99 a month. Cheap as chips. So it can sometimes cost more to get a coffee and a sandwich. So it is dead cheap. £4.99 a month for all of your learning and development needs for early years. Check us out. We've got loads going on over there. And yeah, next week's question, which I think is actually going to come to you later this week because I'm doing a lot of filming. So the question is on Instagram, but you've probably missed it if you're listening now because I've done it pretty soon after each other. But it is, what is your favourite part of your continuous provision? So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes back from those. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to this diary entry about mealtimes. It's a part of an early years day that's a given. It's a part that happens for all of us every single day. So I thought it was good to touch upon quite early on. But let me know what you want to hear. What do you want to chat about? I don't have to keep it completely early years. We can sort of dive into other stuff. If you want to know, make this more of just sort of a chatty podcast, let me know. Chat about life. But I think that we'll stick with some of those core moments in our early years day at the moment, just to see how everyone is feeling about them. And yeah, thank you so much already for the love on this podcast. It is lovely chatting to everybody, and I will see you in the next diary entry. Bye.